Happy Fantasy Friday. It's time for book club. We are Lindsey,
Kelly,
and Katharine, and this is the Banter and Bookmarks podcast. Fair warning, this book club is not kid-friendly as we are discussing adult-themed books and using adult-themed language.
There will also be spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, we will give you a spoiler-free introduction and review in the beginning, and then warn you once we switch over to the spoiler zone.
So pour yourself a drink, come sit on the couch with us, and let's talk about books. So, ladies, what are we chatting about today?
Today we are going to talk about Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. It is book 1 of the Kindred Curse saga. Books 2 and 3, Glow and Heat, are all out right now. The 4th and final installment will be Burn of the Everflame. It's supposed to be released sometime in 2025.
I saw an interview that she gave in a Barnes & Noble recently too, and she was like, we haven't set the date yet, but we'll tell you a few months ahead, and it is like in the mid part of the year.
We should hear something soon.
I feel like we should hear, like tomorrow. Let's hear about it tomorrow. So I feel like we're going to hear a date soon, and I literally Google every day trying to find a date, and they haven't released it yet.
It's happening.
Is it happening? Okay, Kelly, give us a little spoiler-free summary.
Okay, so the summary that is inside the book Dust Jacket. In a mortal world colonized by the gods and ruled over by the Descended, their cruel magic-wielding offspring, Diem Bellator yearns to escape the insular life of her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offered Diem an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of Descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, enigmatic heir watching her every move and a ruthless rebel alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, Diem will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind.
Sounds like I want to read. Sounds like I read. Let's rate it. Yes. All right. So let's set our rating system though, right? Okay. So 5 bookmarks in the Banter and Bookmarks rating system means I absolutely love this book, and I would give anything to capture the feelings of reading it for the first time. Kelly told me I'm not allowed to say that I would cut off a limb to read it, but it's that kind of book. You would just give anything to capture it again. So that's a 5 bookmark. 4 is I love this book, and I maybe will reread it eventually. Like, it's worth a reread, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So then 3.
3 bookmarks is I like this book, but maybe not enough to reread. But
like
still
a
enjoy
solid
it.
read.
Solid, good book, would recommend it to other people, but maybe not going to reread it. A 2 is I was not a fan of this book and will definitely not be touching it again. Might not even recommend it. Or if you recommend it, you would recommend it to very specific people who you know would really like that specific book. Katharine, what's a 1?
I didn't finish it. It's really, really bad. Don't recommend it. Not gonna finish it. Moving on with our lives. Hopefully didn't spend a lot of money on it.
So then what was this book?
4 bookmarks for me.
4. Solid 4.
Solid 4.
And I will say too, again, like I feel like when you look at that 5-star system, you would think a 3-star isn't that great, but a 3-star book is still a solid book to me. I just feel like I want to have more stars on the positive side and more caveat in there than the like, okay, whatever.
Right. And I think because we tend to pick books to read that we already are interested in, so it's not like we're going in completely unaware of what the book's about. So we pick it because we think we're going to like it. And so it makes sense, I think.
So everyone,
I think the series could evolve.
to
5.
Right?
There's a lot of
stuff
here. There's a lot of stuff I want to know about. So I think although this book might be a 4, I think overall series,
like maybe
potential.
5 overall, or maybe book 4 could get to a 5.
Yes. It has a lot of potential worth continuing.
Okay.
Great.
So 4 bookmarks. Everyone's in agreement. Solid 4 bookmarks. Good job, Penn Cole.
Beautiful cover, beautiful artwork.
Yes.
I do actually like the cover
Yeah.
a lot.
And
Even
without the
without-
dust jacket on.
So
It's
beautiful. If you can see, I'm not sure if it comes
gorgeous.
out, but it's gorgeous.
It's so pretty. Okay, so everything else from this point may include spoilers from book 1. So if you haven't finished the book, pause, come back and join us when you do. So at this point, we're only going to talk about book 1.
Yes.
We'll go into theories to talk about book 2, but everything is just book 1.
No
Okay.
spoilers for
No
later
spoilers.
in the series.
Okay, but spoilers for book 1. So go away. Go away.
Bye. See you soon.
And then welcome back. Okay, so our cast here.
Yes.
All right, so we'll outline kind of the most important people. So DM Bellator, she's our FMC, our female main character. She is born a poor mortal nobody, right? She lives with her mom, her dad / stepdad. We know that he's not her biological father. And she has something kind of odd about her, right?
Yeah.
But I guess we can talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
So
True. But we're going to get into it.
get into it.
We'll
Okay.
get into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But she's our main character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we have Teller Bellator, which is her younger brother. And younger. And she puts all of her eggs in his basket. I feel like she's like, he's going to get out of here. He's going to have this great life that I couldn't have. And so she's like a really supportive, kind of maternal older sister to him. Especially when the mother kind of when she disappears, which happens early in the story. And he is very smart, and he goes to a special school with only other descended kids. So he's like the only mortal. So he kind of has like an inside scoop a lot, which definitely comes into play in the book.
Then we have her parental figures, stepfather Andre and her mother Aurelie. We rarely get the mother's actual name. It's just mother, mom.
Mother, yeah.
See, I say it
It's
orally, but I
Orally?
need to orally or Aurelie. I don't know. I'm gonna have to listen to the audible.
Hi, I say Aurelie is from the movie Love Actually. Her name is Aurelia.
I do Aurelie too.
So every time I read it, that's what I think about is
Aurelia.
Aurelia.
Yeah.
All right, I like it.
But I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that's
That's
where it came from. Yeah.
So both are famous characters and in their world, in their own right. Andre is the commander of the Amerian army, obviously immortal, and her mother is a famous healer. They have a kind of interesting relationship. They keep secrets from each other. They're okay with keeping secrets from each other.
They know. Yeah, they know. Right.
They're okay with keeping secrets from their children. And that's just kind of their dynamic. We don't get a lot of the mother in the book. She's there at the beginning and then again at the end. So everything is kind of inferred from what other characters tell us about her. And Andre is that typical army commander. I'm going to teach you how to fight in an army. That's what I'm going to bring to my household. He's very strict. He's very, very regimented. But he also took DM in as
he definitely has a sweet side.
He's stoic, but then can be very loving. But it's kind of like he switches on and off, which is.
There's scenes with DM too where she's like, "Oh, I heard that was the commander's voice,"
Yeah.
or like she comes in and she's like, "Yes, sir, commander, sir," like to kind of like pick at it. But yeah, their relationship is really cute.
Yes, I have a soft spot for their relationship for sure.
The end of the book, I was really sad.
I know it was rough.
About
They had some
how
rough spots.
the book ended between the two of them. So
Who else do we have?
Mora and the rest of the healers. So DM practices as a healer. Mora is this. I see her like a grandmotherly,
old wise figure.
right,
Yeah.
like old wise figure in her life. Like I know her mom is recently gone. I do find it interesting because I think Mora reads as if the mom has been gone for a lot longer, in my opinion.
Okay, I like that.
And that she has become kind of like a maternal, or I guess grandmotherly role.
Present, but maybe not acting as the mother. And that's what Mara has kind of become, a surrogate mother.
Exactly. And then there is a kind of cast of other healers too. So you see Diem within the healers, and, you know, we watch her healing, you watch her interact with the other healers, but obviously Mora is kind of the main healer there. And I think she's kind of the boss.
Yeah, especially
Too,
with
right? Yes.
I think so.
Especially with the mother gone.
Yeah, I wonder.
I don't know.
I've never thought about that. I wonder when Mom was still there.
Mom was the healer to the king. So
that's true.
I think Mom
So
was.
then Mom was.
But Mora was like her second in command.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yep.
All right. Then we have Henry. Poor sweet Henry. I don't know about Henry. Henry is Diem's childhood BFF that they seem to like recently have started a little love fling.
Puppy love.
Puppy
First
love. But it kind of feels like proximity. Like, well, I guess we do love each other.
Yes.
Are they in love with each other? And it's sweet though, and they definitely have a nice companionship. And Henry also, we find out pretty early on that he is part of this secret organization called the Guardians, which is trying to overthrow the rule of the Descended, essentially.
And the Guardians of the Everflame.
Yes, Guardians of the Everflame.
Because I feel like that,
mm-hmm.
with our title and everything, I feel like the fact that they're Guardians of the Everflame is important. They don't say it a lot.
That's true.
And I kind of wonder if the author does that on purpose, where he leaves out the word Everflame so that we aren't constantly thinking about the Everflame. They're just the Guardians.
Yeah.
I think.
It's interesting. And I think that Henry had kind of like the opposite of a positive arc. He was like not a redemption arc, right? Like I think in the beginning he was sweet and you liked him and you kind of felt for him of like, oh, this is sweet, but you can tell that maybe she's not really as into it as he is. And then he kind of goes downhill for me, at least. And
I would agree. He's a bit naive.
He is naive.
He's so gung-ho in one way as if that way is the only way.
Yeah. And man, when they had their conversation about like what their future life would look like, I was like, Henry, have you begged for this? And it really upset me. So
Kelly, you're not going to work. You're going to stay home with the baby.
No. Yep.
So I do think it's interesting. I think that Henry and Teller for Diem are interesting bookend characters.
Oh.
Because I think that for Diem, like, Teller gives her the Descended side of the story and of life. You know, he goes to Descended school, he has Descended friends, and then Henry is the opposite. He is a Guardian, he is pro-mortal, and so I think that Henry and Teller have very purposeful places in Diem's view of the world, and it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, like as books go on, with the information that Henry gives her and the information that Teller gives her.
Yeah, because they're both kind of partial to one of, or giving a soft side of one. Like she's getting the soft side of the Descended from Henry. I mean, from Teller, excuse me. And then Henry is really kind of going in the opposite direction where like you can't stay neutral. So it's,
and I feel like they both give her the right amount of information, whereas in if she didn't have the two of them kind of pushing the other one's side, I feel like we wouldn't.
Yeah,
we would know the amount. The information that we know would be really different. So I think they're so purposeful. It's so smart of the author if that was her purpose. I'm going to assume it was because it's genius, but it's so smart. Yeah. So okay, Luther.
Now, yes, we have Henry. Luther is the love interest.
Yes, for
I'm
sure.
just going to say it. He is the love interest. He's Descended.
Mm-hmm.
He is assumed.
He's hot.
So hot.
He is Shadow Daddy.
We love a Shadow Daddy.
Oh, he's hot.
Did we mention he's hot?
He's tall.
Do we get a lot of his height? I don't remember height mentions.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's large.
And
larger
Diem
than
says
life.
that she's tall and she's not used to being
So tall.
short around other people and when she's with him.
Is she tall?
Yeah, she's tall. She's tall for a mortal. She's tall. She describes herself as not being tiny. So I picture her as like tall, like maybe 5'10", 5'11" for a female, like
I don't remember
well
her
built, like athletic. It's early on. Yeah. She's not like skinny, like poor, leafy. Like you're not like, how can she get all this stuff done? To me, I think of her as like healthy, strong. Yeah, can hold her own. Luther. Fellas.
It is assumed he is going to be the future king of Lumnos after his uncle, King Ulthar, dies, because
the amount of jokes he made with
Ulthar
Ulthar and Luther.
Because he wields both shadow and light magic, the magic of Lumnos. He does both, not one or the other. But, and we're going to talk about that bonus chapter, but setting that one aside,
I digress.
I do feel like he seems a reluctant leader. He would be good in the role. He's very commanding. He's very intelligent. All of the court politics he knows, but he doesn't necessarily want to
He's
be
been groomed
the king
to take it, but he doesn't want it, right?
Yeah. I think he could take it or leave it, kind of thing. To me, to me, he feels more neutral, but I can see that he's like, meh.
And the most important point,
he's hot.
We don't like that name. We don't like the name Luther.
It's not
Luther.
It's of all book boyfriend names.
I know.
It's on the low.
It's
on the
low
list.
on the list.
But
what is
personality? No.
Because his personality, I see a lot of promise with him.
Yeah. The shadow daddiness is just.
And so the other kind of side character too here, though, is the king, who we don't see a lot in the book because he's unconscious. He's still alive, but he's unconscious.
He's dying.
Yeah.
But I feel like his background role is so important because it's throughout the whole book. It's, I think from very early on, Teller says, "Oh, everyone assumes Luther's going to be king." So the whole book, we're just waiting for the king to die
and for Luther to become king.
Right. So he's not talked about a lot. We do have scenes with him and important scenes with him, but he's there. And then we have Lily,
Princess
who
Lily.
is Luther's little sister and Teller's crush.
Yeah.
Did we say crush?
Crush.
Right.
Crush is appropriate. Friend. Absolutely.
Friend.
They're definitely friends. And I think they crush on each other too.
Yeah. Oh, it's reciprocal.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And
so cute.
non-judging. I am descended, you are mortal. That's
which is an important point too, because
not common.
It is not common, and mortal and descended cannot have children.
No.
So there's a
law.
Yeah, there's a progeny law. We get into a lot of world building.
Yeah.
When it goes into that, which I know Katharine
is
cannot
so
excited
cannot wait
to talk about.
Well, before we get there, I feel like there's one other character that we have not mentioned. Saray.
That's true. Saray the Gryvern.
Our magical being.
That's true.
We are very much dragon fans here, but we love magical creatures. And Saray, we'll figure out how to pronounce her name. I'm Saray.
I'm Saray because my name is Lindsey Ray.
Yeah, and it's the R-A-E.
R-A-E, so I say Saray.
Saray. And she's just she's fierce. She like protects the castle when they go in, and like that whole scene when Diem is like, I'm drawn to her, and I already love their relationship, and I think seeing their relationship at the end of the book too, like when everything happens, she's going to be big to me. I think in the series.
Interesting creature, head of an eagle, wings of an eagle.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost a dragon, scaly bit here, lion, body with a tail, but then the front hands are that of an eagle again.
Claws. Yeah, let's see if we can see it, but we have it here on the map.
Yeah.
Right up at the top. We think that this right here is a Gryvern. Here we are. So it's an interesting, she's majestic. It looks
the
like
scaliness. So it mentioned
her face looks dragon-esque too, though.
Yeah, it's like you can't tell about if it's feathers, if it's scales. I remember in the book specifically, she did describe there were scales.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Lion tail.
Mhm.
I mean, we love a good map. But
don't even get me started.
she's already, I think she's going to be one of my faves by the end of this series. Love a magical creature.
Yep. I know. Katharine's so excited. Do it. Tell us about the map. Tell us about the world.
Do it.
Start us off.
My favorite thing about fantasy, world building, lore. Give me a map at the
Give us a
beginning
map.
of
Give us a
the book, and I am ready to strap on in. Let's go. So let's talk about the beings in
Let's
this
do
world.
it.
Okay.
We have the kindred, the descended, and mortals. The kindred are the original 9 sibling gods that left their world a millennium ago in favor of the mortal world after the violent destruction of their own world. That's all we're given so far in book 1. The violent destruction of their world. They fell in love with mortals in their own realm and chose to abandon their eternal youth and bind themselves to the lives of their mortal lovers rather than watch their mortal lovers age and die. So, as of this book, all of the kindred are gone. They've already died. We are not aware of any currently existing kindred.
Okay.
They're deities.
They're deities. Yes,
Right.
God.
Right. People pray to them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then we have the descended, the children of the original kindred and mortals. The original kindred intended for their children to usher in this era of peace. But 1,000 years later, that's not working out too well for anybody. Certain realms have banned mortals altogether. Talk about those in a minute. In DM's realm in particular, Lindsey, you mentioned the fact that any children of descended and mortals are forbidden. And the current king, Ulthar, had a policy of killing all the children that were born of descended and mortals. They did this because they found their power was diluting as they interbred with
Keep
the
pure
mortals.
blood pure, right? Yep.
As pure as you can.
Yep. The descended are described as uncommonly beautiful. They have excessive strength, strong skin, impervious to any mortal weapon, and magic. In fact, the only weapon that can pierce their skin is Fortosian steel. Now, the descended magic is limited to their natural realm. They can only wield their magic in their realm. If they are outside their realm, they cannot. And then the king or queen descended of a realm is chosen because they are the strongest in that realm. Then the mortals.
Do we know that that's in every realm or just in DM's realm?
The 2 magic?
No,
that's how they're chosen.
That's how they're chosen.
It is. I think it is strongly implied, although I don't think we heard it from directly a descended.
Yeah.
But it is at least
assume because that's how it happens.
And in Lumnos, that is absolutely the way it happens.
And every realm has two different types of magic.
Then
we have Fae vibes, but actually like a little bit more than Fae, because the whole can't be pierced by these.
It's more distinct, I would say.
Yeah, I think so too. Because Fae give there are so many different types of Fae. This is like everyone has these same kind of things. Exactly. And then you have 2 different powers that you can choose from.
Are gifted.
Are gifted when you're born.
Or not, because there's also descended that really don't have
much.
That's
magic
true.
at all.
And that
you can
is
have
that,
one or the other, but different levels.
And that's that diluted blood.
Dilute.
So then we got the mortals. Just any human with no descended blood. If a child is the child of a descended, they're descended. They might not be a powerful descended, but they are descended. Now, mortals can only have brown hair, brown eyes. That is actually a consequence.
No.
Wait for it.
Okay.
Wait for it.
I'll wait.
Wait for it. We're going to get there. I told you to strap on. But wait. That is a consequence of the forging spell. The descended in Lumnos have varying shades of blue eyes. But DM was born with auburn hair, brown eyes. and it is mentioned sometime in puberty. There's this sickness, and it caused her eyes and her hair to become colorless, such that she is mistaken for being descended.
Because her realm's eyes are blue.
Right. And hers are gray.
But her
Gray.
mom has red hair.
Auburn.
Which is a reddish brown.
It's reddish brown.
So
It's brown eyes. It's auburn brown hair.
Definitely eyes. But I know her mom, because she talks about how fiery her mom's hair was, and that you could see her like in any crowd, that her hair was different.
Well, you know what that means. You know what that means. I'm gonna have to reread the whole. Just with one
and
little
find that Easter egg.
I definitely remember about their eyes, but I don't remember about their hair. Only because I remember her mom distinctly having, but like you said, auburn, brownish.
Yeah,
auburn.
It's a shade of brown.
Now,
all right.
Forging spell.
Love it.
This broke Amarian into the 9 realms, each named for one of the kindred and infused with that god or goddess's magic. Ready to talk about the realms?
Yes, I love the realms.
A list.
We got a list.
I love the circular map of this place.
Yes.
Yeah, the map.
Now, what we are talking about is current day. The humans existed in Amarian prior to a millennium ago when the kindred came. They had their own gods, old gods, traditions, names of the cities. So what we are talking about in present day is significantly influenced by the kindred, the descended. So it's broken into 9 realms. As you said, there's that interesting circular formation of the 9 realms, with the very center, and we haven't talked about this, being called Kuril. Kuril, or Kindred's Temple, as it's labeled on the map, is the island in the middle of the Sacred Sea. I looked this up. The English translation of Kuril means Heart Island. I'm saving this one for you guys.
Whoa, tricky. I like that.
I'll be very interested to see where the author goes with this one. We do get a sneak preview to that island in the last couple of chapters, which we're going to talk about later. Now, the road that connects all the realms is called the Ring Road. And remember, 2 kinds of magic in the realms. Most descended only get one type of magic, or the other, only the very strongest, like Luther, get both.
And it's rare.
It's very rare.
Very rare.
All right. We got 9 realms. We're going to talk about them.
Love it. We're building this world.
We're building this world
by brick.
By brick. All right. Lumnos, the realm of light and shadow. The descended here have blue eyes. This is the realm featured in book 1 and where DM is living. I say living because it is highly implied she was not born in Lumnos.
Yes.
Throughout most of this book, it's assumed Luther will be
This is her home.
It's her home.
Yeah, this is her home. Right.
It's assumed Luther's going to be the future king. So I'm going to keep a tally on my fingers. DM's been to this realm. She lives here, right? All right. Fortos, realm of force and valor. The descended here have red eyes. This realm is right next to Lumnos to the south. It's known as the realm that supplies all of the Amarian army. It's where her stepfather and her mother met. It's also the realm where the female descended are gifted with healing magic, while the male descended all get the power to kill. Quote, they can make your body decay right in front of their eyes. There have only ever been kings in Fortos. It's also one of the few realms where descended will choose to travel to, knowing their magic does not work outside of their home realm, in order to be healed more than what a mortal healer can do in their own realm. DM has been to Fortos. She's been there with her mother, and she goes
with Henry
in the book. Soundnos. I'm so excited. Sorry. Gotta take a breath. Soundnos, the realm of beasts and brutes. Yellow eyes are what the descended have in this realm.
Beasties, yeah.
Farther south, next to Fortos, here the descended are rumored to be more animal than human. Mortals are forbidden unless passing on the ring road. DM has been to this realm by way of travel for the events of this book with her mother.
Okay.
Was confirmed. Next realm, Arboros, realm of root and thorn. Moss green eyes are what the descended have
Makes sense.
here.
Arbor.
It is
Trees.
a realm rich in vegetation and supplies many of the medicinal plants used throughout all the 9 realms. DM has been to this realm with her mother prior to the events of this story.
Okay.
Igneos, the realm of sand and flame. Flame in sight, how they describe the descended eyes in this
interesting.
realm. Sun-scorched desert land. This one is completely off limits to all mortals, even those traveling on the ring road. DM has not been to Igneos.
So they can't pass that way? They have to go all the way around.
You can go by boat through the sacred sea.
Like the old telephones where you have to go all the way, and then you go all around.
Okay, I see. You go through the sea. Interesting. Okay.
Is the sea like open territory?
It is open. You
right?
can
like
yes.
you can travel.
And I'll mention that in a second. This is open. Yes.
Okay.
Totally fine to go through this.
I have my book open. I feel like I'm in English.
Because it has a map. All right, Umbros, the realm of mind and secret. The descended here have black eyes. It is the only realm where mortals and descended are welcome without restriction. However, the career paths are of the more unsavory variety.
Okay.
Spies, assassins, courtesans, opium dealers, and the like.
So the fun realm.
Sure.
Sure. You go for fun. This is the Vegas of
You might
Vegas.
find this less fun. This is the only realm where the descended do not even like the queen or trust her of Umros because she's known to kill equally the mortal and the descended in her realm in order to shore up her own.
It's evil. Okay, cool.
DM has not been to
Stay away. Okay.
Meros, realm of sea and sky. Gaze to match the vengeful seas. Descended have a dark sea eye color.
Okay.
This is a realm for all inter-realm trade of legitimate wares. It has been mentioned that DM has traveled via the Sacred Sea to this realm prior to this book.
Okay.
She's been to Meros. Sophos.
And that is basically like Meros and
right
Sophos
across.
Are straight across. Yep. The furthest you can get. Okay.
Sophos, realm of thought and spark. Rose eyes will be the death of you. Is how they describe the descendant of this realm. This realm is open to mortals, but by invitation only. In fact, DM's brother Teller is hoping to eventually be invited to study in Sophos, one of their lauded universities there. DM has never been to this realm and would only be able to go if her brother were invited to study here. Now, it is implied and later rumored that the mortals that come to Sophos never leave.
Yes.
And once they complete their research, they are then experimented on themselves by the descendant. Now we get to Montios, the 9th realm, realm of stone and ice.
And the biggest realm. It's huge.
Mountainous big realm, violet stone to match their gaze. The descended here have violet eyes. This realm is just north and right next to Lumnos and is forbidden to all mortals, although DM and Henry snuck across the border when they were young to see the famous Lavender Mountains. He has been to this realm. This realm is home to the secretive nomadic descended that live in caves, mountainous rocky terrain. So 9 realms. DM has already been to 6 of them. She hasn't been to 3. Igneos, Umbros, and Sophos.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't remember that amount of detail from just book 1.
I'm just a little bit of a lore whore.
I love it.
But like I remember because I've read
She's cheating.
We said we're not going to do that, and a certain someone did.
And all of that is true. I don't remember that much detail being in just book 1. Like I guess I just wasn't paying close enough attention to all of the mentions of things.
Tell
right?
you the realms too in the very beginning, but it's
all
not as detailed.
The things are like where she's been and where she hasn't been. I don't remember that
and it's
being in this book.
it helped form one of my theories. We're talking
Yes.
about the very end. So this became so important. I was like, I'm digging
gotta
into
do the
this.
research.
I gotta dive. We gotta discuss these realms, everything about them, just to make sure my theory holds water.
Holds water.
Yeah.
You know what it sounds like to me is in the districts in the Hunger Games.
Yes.
Like how it's broken up and they each like provide something or
Right, yeah.
they have like different goods or different exports.
They rely on each other. We
Right.
can't
And like,
live
yeah,
without
like they,
the other.
although they do, yeah, exactly. They have to have something from the other ones or
It's true.
they all provide
Lamp,
something to the kingdom as a whole.
trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Portos supplies where an army is needed. Portos supplies that army
And the
to other
seal.
realms and the seal.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. I think it's also important to mention that you talked about the old gods. The mortals still, I don't know if I would still say they worship them.
Would it be outlawed and banned?
It is outlawed, but I think that they secretly, that is where their religion lies, is with the old gods. So the gods that existed in the land before the 9 kindred came down.
It would be really interesting. The kindred, they have to be real. They're the children of kindred and mortals are the descendants.
They exist.
Do the old gods also exist? Are we going to be introduced to them? Are they more than just a religion? Are they real? Are they real beings that did exist, or were they chased away?
Right.
And are the kindred actually? No, I was gonna say, are they actually gods? Like, are they any
Just
thing
more powerful
special?
descended, really?
Right, like we know that they came from another world, so maybe they have some sort of strength, or maybe they're bigger or whatever that made them seem more powerful. But were they? I mean, I guess if their descended div had these powers, then the original kindred must have had those powers.
And
but
to
then
the mortals, they're gods,
right?
but are they truly gods?
And are they the only remaining kindred from their world?
Right. Why were there only 9? What happened to everybody else?
And they happen to be siblings.
How very
and each sibling has
of them.
And each sibling had a different magic.
Right.
So if you think about the way that the descended work, where if you're part of that line, you are going to get that magic. So why did the kindred, who are siblings and all related, all have different magic? And then their children and their descended only got that one branch of magic.
Right. Was that on purpose? Or is that actually not true? Do they think that they only get that, but really, could they open up more magic when the barriers of these realms?
Your face literally just changed.
I have a theory.
As you're talking, I saw your light bulb go off. You're like,
light bulb.
Well, so we know that towards the end of the book, we're getting towards the end now, but when Luther asked Diem to go to be with the king, he's really getting to the end of his life, and he leaves and trusts her to stay, and he wakes up, right? And he says all these crazy things in different voices, whatever. One of the things that he says, I don't remember the exact quote, but one of you probably can get it at some point, is he talks about how her blood is going to break down the walls, break down like the barriers essentially of the realm.
Of the forgotten.
Daughter of the forgotten. And so she's going to unify. And so I'm wondering that what you just said, Lindsey, it's like when she eventually breaks down these barriers, whatever they are, which I think it's the barriers of the realms, will that allow different, like all of their power to like fully flourish? Was it a way to keep people almost in line by keeping them? Is there some kind of magic in the realm that prevents you from actually accessing your full well of power?
Because we know it's the forging spell.
Yes.
That's what divided it. That's what limited.
Right.
Which I guess the question is why? Why would they bother
got
limiting?
the sense that as part of giving up their immortality and binding themselves to the land, to the realm of their mortal lovers, this was part of it. They mention a spell. Something is binding all descended from these realms of not having any other
So
magic.
it's like their sacrifice.
Yes.
Is it just to keep people from just tearing each other apart? Like, stay in your lane, use your magic at home, because if it was open,
You do it at home.
it would be
Anarchy, chaos.
right? Like, if you could just tromp around using your random magic anywhere you went, it would be chaos. So it's like, you can have your magic, but you got to stay home.
Or were they also like not fully ready to give their magic to half mortals? Like, was there any part about them that was like, yeah, unity, but also
But
maybe
they also
not?
wanted the children to usher in this era of peace, which I find horribly naive.
Yeah.
I wonder how far down the line
we are.
Well, no, like, when did they decide that the descended, like, that you couldn't be? Because hold on. I got to think about how I want to say this. This is not making sense. Like, when did they decide that mortals couldn't have magic and descended could, like, because the kindred fell in love with mortal lovers, right?
Was
So
it right away?
their kids were descended, but one of their parents was mortal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
So
it's been
how
a
far down
thousand
the
years.
line where they're like, mortals
stop
suck.
this.
But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they're all descended. Yes, you're also descended from a kindred, but you're also descended from a mortal.
Yeah. I got the impression it is a recent can be maybe, I got the impression it was within the last 100 years. They really started seeing the impact of, it's been 1,000 years since we were pure and our magic is becoming lesser, right? And so that's when they started to enact these laws. I mean, in Igneos, they literally took all of the mortals out, let them burn to death in the desert. So I get this kind of, they're culling their rank of the mortals at this point.
They're starting to
These are
panic
new
about their
policies.
power, maybe.
This Lumnos one is a new policy of forbidding the children, of
Was
killing
it
the
Ulthers?
children. And it was Ulthers policy. So, and I think they've said something, he's been the king for less than 100 years, but it was his policy he enacted. So
I don't think that's true.
which one?
That it was his policy.
The progeny law?
I don't think the progeny law was his.
Let's see if we can find it.
Said it was his.
Really?
Because then we get the inferences from Luther that there are things of his uncle's policies he did not agree with.
That's true.
Right.
That is
That
true.
is true. Okay, so then let's go back.
Let's go back.
Well, I look up the progeny laws and see if I can find it for us.
So Diem, like you said, had a mysterious sickness when she was younger. She lost all of her coloring.
Yep.
Right? She's got snow white hair now.
Want me to talk about the sickness?
Sure.
Want to go into it?
Yes.
Love a good
Yes,
sickness.
me too.
Let's talk about it. All right. Diem's sickness. So as a child, well, I shouldn't say as a child. Around puberty, she goes through this sickness. So she's born with auburn hair and brown eyes. After the sickness, she has lost all color from her hair and her eyes. Her mother has told her also she has to take this flame root powder. It's because of this sickness, and it's also to curb these hallucinations that she supposedly had either as a result of this sickness or she was starting to develop as part of this sickness. So the end result is Diem is constantly mistaken for being descended herself, minus the gifts. Now, fast forward to the events of the book, her mother disappears. Diem chooses to stop taking the flame root powder. We have a small time jump in the story, about 6 months it's been since she's been taking this. She doesn't tell anybody she stopped taking it, although her brother does figure it out himself. And the first inklings we have that something is different is she's getting this voice in her head. It's telling her to do things.
I hear Mortal Kombat in my head when that happens, right?
Yes.
Fight.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat. Anyway.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
And fight.
She's hearing it, but she thinks, okay, this is because I stopped taking the flame root powder. And she's very conflicted. Should I start taking it again? But eventually she throws it all away into the sea. She doesn't know how to get more. And she goes, nope.
No.
And she doesn't know. Nope. She goes,
like my mom
to stop taking it.
Yes.
She does mention that the powder caused her to feel very, very muddled. So I also think just if you're constantly living with that, you wouldn't want to.
She talked about like she can't like feel extreme emotion, joy, pain, everything. It dulls her. Yeah.
So eventually, Henry and DM go to Fortos. They're going to restock some of her supplies from back in Lumnos. They go to Fortos, and there she meets with a woman, Leona. She knows this woman. Her mother knew this woman, and she's just in the shop. She's looking around, and she discovers there's this stuff behind a locked cage. And it has a very, very distinct red color and a very specific emblem on the vial. And she knows that is flame root powder. She hasn't seen it anywhere else, but she knows immediately it's flame root. She mentions it by name to Leona, and she freaks out.
Dunzo.
She says, and I quote, merely knowing that powder exists is enough for the crown to order your execution, girl. I have that in my head, in our voice, by the way.
In my accent too?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Especially when she says, girl.
Girl.
And then she later goes on to say, only the king of Fortos has access and the key to that. Not even the chief healer of Fortos has access to the powder. And you have to get permission from all 9 realms to get even an ounce of it.
How did Mama have it?
Exactly. Big question. Well, I think we as the readers get that way sooner than DM. DM is operating through over half of this book in denial. Yes. Everything pointing as her being different from a mere mortal. She rebels at the thought of it. But we as readers are like, clearly, obviously, we know she doesn't know who her father is. Her mother get that from her biological father. Yep. He's clearly got to be descended of some kind. That would explain why she looks like a descended, why her mother made her take this powder to suppress her natural healing abilities, her strength, her own magic herself.
And because her sickness came at a time, which is
when descended actually first come into their magic, come into their strength, come into their natural healing abilities. And I think as readers, we're on board with this. We're okay with it, but she's just in denial for the longest time. Now, I did find it interesting. She intentionally did not tell people she was taking it or that she stopped taking it. She doesn't mention it to anybody else. So Henry doesn't know about it. And even when she's working with the Guardians,
I thought Henry knew.
Nope. I looked that one up. He doesn't know. Mara doesn't know.
Yeah. Yep.
He doesn't know it's flame root powder.
He takes something. Okay. But what I mean that makes sense.
Doesn't tell Henry it's flame root powder. She also doesn't tell him what it has done to her, because think of this. Henry is in the Guardians. The Guardians hate all descended. Yes. She makes the point of not making that connection for the Guardians, that flame root powder clearly suppresses descended abilities. I mean, think about it. She was off of it for 6 months, and it took that long for her ability to come back. This thing is going to come up again later in the series. I mean, once mortals become aware of it, something that can curb the effects of descended, curb their power, bring them on an equal playing field with mortals. That's got to
be the reason.
This information is going to come out.
Because it's not the only thing that could hurt them now. It's not just the Fortosian seal now. You have flame root powder.
So do the descended have lesser magics? Like, we know that they can all heal to an extent, even though there are Fortosian female healers who, right, it's Fortos, right, that had female healers, and they can heal major injuries, but they can all heal minor injuries, right?
Yes, all
All
equally
descended.
in
And
that
can they heal
one.
themselves too, or are they those type of, or is that not
Like
this
someone
lore?
else has to heal you?
Yeah, like if you get a cut, do
No,
they
they heal. Think
quickly?
about when
Quickly.
when she was attacking that descended
The
in the
guard.
back alley, that guard.
Yes.
She attacked him with the Fortosian steel, so she does penetrate his skin. However, he heals immediately because there was not enough time where the blade was in him to cause him permanent damage. He just healed immediately from it.
So they have other lesser magics too? I can't remember how
I think
much.
they described it more of their magic is diluted, some more than others. Some people, their magic is simply a party trick. Some people, like Luther, their magic is
significant.
Right.
A lot.
Right. But either way, it's always tied to their realm and their kindred. So I wonder what happens if two descended people from different realms.
So they have not brought that up.
Have a child,
right?
Fall in love.
Like where would you live? Because one of you would have to give your magic up.
Right.
I'm not giving my magic up.
Nope. Unless I have a party trick.
Right. Well, and that's true. I guess if your magic doesn't matter. And what magic would your child get? I guess the more powerful, we assume.
I get the impression that the king controls his or her, king or queen, just controls their subjects, right? They would control the movement of their descendant.
Right.
And you have to remember, the descended from the other realms don't necessarily like descended from these realms. The Queen of Umbros will happily kill everybody to make sure
the crowns agree.
Powerful.
We also don't know that the crowns agree on things. So like one may allow a different type of descendant to live in their realm, but another one might not.
I think that's all leading to the conflict of the book, right? The descended are trapped in their home realms.
Right.
The humans are trapped by their persecution from the descended. It's all building. The 9 realms have got to collapse.
They have to. It's coming to a head for sure.
We know this is jumping ahead, but when she goes to visit the king, let's look at some of this wording because I feel like it's so important. Sorry, I'm flipping here. I gotta find it. So she's left alone with the king, just the two of them. She knows the king's about to die. And he basically he talks to her, he grabs her, he's lucid. His voice at first says, so let's pick out a couple of these things that he says. They told me you would come for me. Who's they? They told me your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders.
That's the quote I was going lay waste to our borders.
Your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders. Then his skin began to light with an unnatural glow. Floating an inch above his head, a circular form took shape. So that was the crown that came out. And then the king gasped, his grip on me tightening. I am not afraid, devourer of crowns, ravager of realms, herald of vengeance. And then something unearthly and unmistakably female, so his voice changes and says, give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. When the end has come and the blood has spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command. The king's back arched, his chest rising at a sharp, unnatural angle before collapsing back onto the bed. His hand went limp, suddenly releasing me from his grasp. So, not dead yet. So I feel like there's some big things. In those pages. His little nicknames for her: Devourer of Crowns, Ravager of Realms, Herald of Vengeance. So clearly he knows because that was him. That was before the voice
That was
change.
him.
So clearly he knows who she is.
Yeah.
They told me you would come for me. Which
The
who's
fates?
they? Who's they?
Yeah. What is it? The Kindred?
Kindred.
Mm.
So is that? Do we know that Lumnos? Yes, because it's mother.
Yes.
Right, mother.
Yes.
Mother Lumnos.
Yes.
Or isn't there another thing they call her? Like Blessed Mother? Blessed Mother?
Yeah, something like that. But we
Is
know
it
it
Blessed
was
Mother?
a
She
kindred
referred to her as Grandma
goddess, but it was
Lumnos
a
at one
Lumnos.
point,
But
didn't
yes,
she?
but it was a woman. Their
woman.
kindred was a woman.
Yes.
So do we feel like it was the Blessed Mother Lumnos's voice
Yes.
that was coming through the king?
Yes.
I think so.
So then she said, give him our gift. We don't know who him is.
Luther. That's
We
my
don't
guess.
know.
My guess is Luther.
Daughter of the Forgotten.
That
When
was
the end has
interesting,
come,
though. She calls her then Daughter of the Forgotten.
Daughter of the
King
Forgotten.
didn't. And I feel that's very important because a descendant did not know that title. If we presume that it is the goddess of Lumnos speaking through King Ulthar to her,
Right.
only that kindred knows the title
Mm.
Daughter
She is.
of
Right.
the Forgotten, because that is from their own world that they left behind.
And do we assume that, like, Daughter of the Forgotten, we don't know who her birth father is, right? So is the Forgotten her father? Is she daughter of the literally daughter, or is that a bigger title, or is it literal?
Is it, and we've talked about this off camera, but in Mama's POV chapter, there is a point where there are these 9 different things, and then there's a 10-pointed star.
Yes.
And there are 9 realms in the
realms,
circle, but
but
then the
10
land in the middle is the
10-pointed star.
10th.
Maybe Kuriel?
Is she the daughter of the forgotten
Forgotten.
realm, of the forgotten kindred? Is that why her power works in every single realm?
Don't go too
Okay,
far.
so
we're gonna
I
get my
know,
theory.
so many
let's
thoughts.
talk about that.
And you're right, they did call her Blessed Mother Lumnos.
Blessed Mother
Thank
Lumnos.
you,
Okay.
thank you,
Thank
Kindle.
you, Kindle search
Functions.
Okay, so then Katharine, this was like a big thing that Katharine, I know, wanted to talk about. I know, she's itching. Go.
You want me to do it? You want me to do it?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
I mean,
okay.
it came up.
It came up. I had to.
let's go.
I had
It came
to.
up. Trust the process.
Yep.
I'm going to go into a lot of detail here.
I can't wait. I'm here.
Okay, so 6 months since she stopped taking the flame root powder, we first see her interact with the descended when she is called to the palace along with a few other healers to heal descended children. There was an accident.
Okay, so pause there. Diem's a healer, right? I know we kind of talked about that, but let's solidify that. She doesn't have healing powers.
healer.
She's a mortal healer. Okay, go.
Yes. They are called when children are injured because until they go through puberty, they don't have their natural descended healing abilities. That is why mortal healers are necessary. So a group of them were called to the palace. The children descended were injured. While she is there, she is assigned to Princess Lily. At the first thing that happens is that she has to set Lily's bones. That's the first inkling we get that something's not right here. Luther is there and he says, do you need some help? And Tiem's like, I got this.
I'm good, bro. Back up.
Back up. Step up. Later.
So Lily's injury must have been pretty catastrophic then.
Yes.
Right? If
that one wasn't.
Yeah.
She was able to set the bone, and that showed that her strength is coming back to her. But then the next thing that happens, she discovers that Lily has a metal shard in her back. She has had massive blood loss. She's kind of panicking at this point and puts her hands over the wound just to try to stem the flow of the blood. And I quote, "A strange feeling stirred in my chest. My hands tingled with the sensation that was all at once freezing cold and scorching hot. A soft glow spilled beneath the blood-soaked gauze under my palms. The light beneath my hand flared blindingly bright. Silver like moonlight, the wound was gone." Now, the first thing is it was her magic was described
absolutely.
as light. It
Yeah,
flared
that was magic.
blindingly.
DM,
Right.
that was magic.
You magic girl.
You magic girl. Yeah.
And, Lumnos is the realm of light and shadow. What is she actually doing? She's healing Lily. Fortos, the realm of force and valor, the magic from that realm is that of healing and decay. Now,
I will say real quick, kind of did bother me that as a healer, whatever metal object was lodged in Lily, she took it out.
That's like the one thing you don't
Right,
do.
she was
You don't-
panicking a bit, I
Yeah.
will
But
say.
you're trained as a
Like an
healer.
EMT,
Like,
you don't take
just
the thing
pull
out.
it out. Like in that moment, I was kind of like,
Yeah. Maybe let's not do that one. But she did, and she healed her, and
okay,
everything
she
was
would be
fine.
fine. But in that moment, I was
Lily
like,
was fine. Yes. Now,
You need
everything.
your mama.
Yeah,
Mama needs to
everything.
come back
You're
home.
not supposed to pull it out. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But.
Now, later that same day, Henry and Diem are traveling on the ring road to Fortos to restock her medical supplies. As soon as Diem crosses into Fortos, she felt a sensation. Her shoulders sagged when she did, but Henry felt nothing at all. Later that night, Henry and Diem are sleeping off the side of the road in Fortos when a wolf happens upon their camp. When faced off against that wolf, Diem said, "The world fell away, just as it had that morning in the royal palace. A burning sensation prickled at my skin, a scalding frost, an impossibly frigid inferno. I looked down to see my hands aglow with this silvery
So it's the
light.
cold and the hot and the silver light happening
Yes.
again. Okay, I'm with you.
A blinding flash glowed red, followed by a soft hiss. Hanging in the air was a cloud of ash, a million particles floating like delicate snow to dust the glittering black stone fragments now scattered across the forest floor. The wolf was gone. Now, again, we see the use of the word light. In both instances, she described a silvery light, but she in Fortos also described a blinding flash glowing red. It's interesting that Fortos is the realm where the descended eyes are red. Just don't know if there's any meaning there, but it was interesting, that little detail of the red.
There's a lot of use of color in this book.
Now, she described seeing that blinding light flashing red. And I also want to highlight, as you just mentioned, right, this feeling in both instances of cold and hot. In the palace, she felt freezing cold and scorching hot. With the wolf in Fortos, she felt scalding frost and frigid inferno. Freezing cold, scalding frost.
I had a thought.
Scorching hot, frigid inferno.
I don't think this is connected at all, but the parallel is really interesting. After she kisses Luther, she makes a point to say she thought he was going to be cold, but he's an inferno. Like, I remember her saying I'm pretty sure she says, but Luther is an inferno.
We're talking about light. We're talking about temperatures.
Yes.
All of this.
Yeah. And again, it might not be connected to power.
I feel has meaning.
But the parallel language is really interesting.
All right. Now we got two things to talk about.
Okay.
Diem's magic appears to reflect both the light shadow magic of Lumnos, particularly with the author's use of the word light in describing the healing process of Lily and Lumnos and the destruction of the wolf in Fortos, right? In both instances, she describes a silvery light, but she also describes a glowing red in Fortos. But the literal actions of her magic is she appears to heal Lily in Lumnos, and she literally
heal her with magic.
Fortos.
Right.
Yes.
Heal with magic.
I feel like that's an important distinction.
Yes, she healed Princess Lily with magic in Lumnos, but she literally destroyed the wolf in Fortos. She turned the wolf to ash. Remember, Henry said male descended only in Fortos can make the body decay right in front of their eyes. We know Diem eventually becomes the queen of Lumnos. So how can her magic appear to reflect that of both realms? And the second point is that Diem clearly displayed her magic, her true descended magic in Lumnos when she was healing Lily, but she also displayed it in Fortos.
Which is not supposed to be able to happen.
So how can she display it in both? Now wait for the mic drop. It's about to drop.
We're ready.
Remember, she was not born
Mhm.
in Lumnos.
Right.
It is implied she was born on Kindred Island. So perhaps her home realm is Kindred Island or Emerian as a whole.
Mhm.
Because we now have a woman. She is reflecting the magic of 2 of the 9 realms, and she is able to perform that magic in 2
Outside
different
of-
realms.
yeah.
So what more will this daughter of the forgotten, what other magic will she have, and
Mhm.
can she perform it in all of the
And
realms?
she
That's my
performed
theory.
male and female
Yes.
magic.
Yes, she did.
breaking
Because in
all of
Fortos,
The rules.
yeah.
She saw the rules and she was like,
I got this.
I'm good.
So,
Thanks, but no thanks.
do you think that it's all tied to dad?
Yes, 100%. And
Right.
I don't think he is simply a descended.
You don't think mom is hiding her mortality? You think mom is immortal? It's
Based on
dad?
her epilogue, I get the sense mom is
Right.
immortal. She hates the descended. There was pure hatred in that text with her epilogue. I got the impression she is immortal. She might be even working with the the guardians.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get the impression that Biodad, I don't think he's descended though. I think he's something else. He could be Kindred that was trapped on Kindred Island.
Was he the 10th sibling that they...
That 10-pointed thing that you mentioned.
Or is he their dad? Maybe that's why she has
Daughter
all the
of
sibling
the
magic.
forgotten.
I also
Big
think,
breath.
yes, I also think that I was leaning for a while into, is the mom more powerful? Is she fully mortal? But I think the scene, because it is so, I feel like she stays a lot in that scene. I think it's on purpose. When DM sees the woman that helped her get away in the beginning murdered in the street with her son, because her son is the son of a descendant and immortal. I feel like all of that emotion and all of that like pain that she felt, I think it was a parallel to her own mother's experience and why her mother left the way that she did and why she never met her father, because this woman who was killed by the guardian was like trying to hide this child from the guardian and be like, no, this is my
And her
child.
mom
I love him.
hid
And the
her.
mom, and I think it's a parallel story. And the mom hid her and the father was something more. I thought descended, but now you're making me think he's even more than that.
More.
You
Yeah.
think the mother's actions are justified. That is your take on the mother and all of her actions.
Yeah.
And I mention that because when you mention the mother defending her child, I completely agree. Because she is defending a child. DM is in her 20s. She is a healer in her own right. She is a grown woman, and her mother still kept secrets from her. The biggest secret I could not believe her mother did is her mother taught her the word flame root powder, which if she said to anybody, could have
Right. Why did she tell her?
killed.
Why did she tell her what it was really called?
Right.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's a really good point.
Death through ignorance, really. So, and she doesn't tell her who she is, like who she is, where she comes from. I'm okay with a child, but I
know.
I got a negative perception
I
towards
know.
and with the mother for keeping this many dangerous secrets from her daughter.
I feel like we're going to learn that there is more reason for it, either in a positive or a negative. I think we can go to there are justifiable reasons why she had to keep these secrets, and that when we realize why, we'll be like, okay, it makes sense. Even though it was shitty to keep these secrets from your adult child, I understand why she felt she had to do it or why she actually had to do it. I think on the other side, it could be maybe mama is like not as great as everyone thinks she is, and there's something deeper and darker going on there. So
yeah, maybe it won't be justified. Maybe we'll be like, you're terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Just
right
awful.
now we're kind of neutral, and I'm leaning towards, I could see how this would be a potential, and I feel like the author is leaving it open for us. to feel that way.
Well, and I feel like that's why we get the epilogue. And I will say,
lights a fire in your belly, that epilogue.
Yeah. Well, and I was telling the girls before we started recording that I've read, I'm like
She's
60%
show off.
with into book 3.
Tells us we
And
can't read the
today,
book, reads the book.
I know, and then I read a book. Today, I started thinking about the epilogue chapter specifically and was like, okay, well, now that I know a little bit more, I kind of want to go back and reread the epilogue. So I read it today, and there's still so much in there that still doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's a couple of things that I was like, oh, that. Like, I kind of made the connections, but there's a lot in here that, as far as I am into the series, is still not answered.
Yeah.
And here's something we didn't mention. So when she started joining the Guardians, the way they describe, no names, the way they describe them is father and mother. They implied there was this higher up mother,
the woman who's actually in charge,
doing mysterious business elsewhere. I think we were strong. It was strongly implied that is Diem's mother. I also wonder,
or it's a red herring, but they want you to think it.
The author is setting up the mother to be the ultimate bad guy, the leader of the mortals against Diem, who is almost this kind of unifier of the descended and the mortals. She grew up for all intents and purposes as a mortal. She's now being thrust into this descended world. She's seen both sides where descended kill innocents and guardians kill innocents, right? She might be this, this devourer of realms, but the mother is clearly an angry person, hates descended. So I wonder if the author is setting up the mother to be this villain for us.
She either needs to destroy, or she needs to convince in some way or another. But like, what a powerful, if that is the case, what a powerful villain to be like, oh, this is my mother who I love and I trusted my whole life.
But to your point, I feel like it leads back to what you're saying. Like, is what she's doing justified? Or will we finally learn, oh no, you're just awful.
You're terrible.
And the author's making us feel things about these characters very strongly. She's giving us characters that are very multifaceted. It could go either way with them. They're not one note, I am bad.
Everyone, there's
shades of gray.
Yes. Morally gray.
I love that.
Moral gray.
We don't know people's intentions. We don't know if they're good or bad. We don't know what is good or bad. Where do you draw the line in a war? And I just love that the author is kind of creating this conflict. And especially, I just like the idea of a mother-daughter conflict. I think that is, it's not done very often. It would be great to read about.
In a fantasy world, I think we assume that the big bad is a big bad. And what if the big bad is your mom?
Oh my God. What if the big bad is your mom?
But okay, there's a lot in that chapter that is so
the epilogue chapter
that's so unanswered. Like, it kind of infers that she has lived there before.
The mother has.
Mother has.
Not only
and
that
Diem was born there, or at least Diem was there
at some point
when she's younger, because they said an infant. Oh yeah, a newborn. If it wasn't for the newborn in my arms.
Reading the epilogue scene, and I mean, I've really felt the mother's hatred when it comes to why the mother was there against her will on that island, what happened to her on that island. I do get the sense, and maybe this really, psychologically makes sense why she would hate descended so much. Not only that, was she forced to conceive Diem against her will?
I have that thought as well.
Say that.
Yeah.
I think that,
and I mean, you can imagine being completely violated that way. It would completely skew there's no coming back from it. Of course. Descended are the ultimate evil. So then you have this character that could be completely against descended, but I can understand that. I can understand your pain, your hurt. And again, these multifaceted, multi-layered characters.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I totally agree.
To moral like being more like morally gray, right?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
love morally gray everything.
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 And truly morally gray.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I think there are books or movies or just stories where they want you to believe it's morally gray, but
Be shocked.
you have a very strong feeling of like what you would choose.
Yes.
In this book, there are multiple situations, I think, where I'm like, oh, I can kind of see both ends of this.
And I think that's the point.
I love
right?
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like
Yeah.
each side might believe in what they're doing
Mhm.
and it is right for them and their situation, but does that mean that it's right for everyone?
Right.
Like, and especially since there is such a divide in the people between descended and mortals, like of course the mortals are going to feel like they're owed more, and of
Right.
course the descended are going to feel like, because they talk a lot about, or not a lot, but I think Teller, especially, we get in a glimpse of that, of like what descended life is like,
Right.
and they can't mix with mortals, and so I think they're like, to me it's like they're conditioned,
Oh,
right,
of course.
in a certain
Yeah, they're
way.
Think
brainwashed.
about when she's in a test for the Guardians, she's tasked to go to that descended house and she sees that little boy and she sees how his father treats
Like
him. She can
mistreats
see
him.
the conditioning happening before her eyes. And she's like, I want to hate you because you are being bad to me right now. But I understand why
child.
you are being bad. You're being treated poorly by your own parents who should.
And you're modeling what you're seeing from your own
Exactly.
father.
So yes, that conditioning is absolutely there.
Yeah. Okay. Luther.
Love him. Hate his name.
Hate his name.
Hate
we
his
already said it.
name.
Terrible.
Terrible
Luther,
name.
though.
But you know what
Terrible.
makes it up for him when he says things like, and I quote,
Tell me.
"Let me die with the taste of you on my lips." Our lips collided and I was lost.
Gone.
Whoo, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Is that in the bonus?
No.
that's
Okay,
the kiss.
so this is interesting. Kelly and I read the book on
The physical.
a physical book of it. Katharine read it on Kindle.
Kindle
So the
didn't have
first time we ever got together to talk about the book,
Mm-hmm.
Kelly and I were like, oh, bonus chapter, right?
And I'm like,
Katharine was lost. And we were like, oh, whoa. So she immediately took my book home and read the bonus chapter. And I feel like it made a significant difference in how you felt about Luther. So
The bonus chapter did.
the bonus chapter. So we read it as our original reading. So I'm curious how different your reading was without it.
I would say I didn't get enough of a sense of Luther reading it. I had my own perceptions, maybe my own wishful reading the main text of the book.
Yeah.
I had my own hopes for what his character would be, little hints here and there, but lacking this chapter, it was just conjecture on my part. When I got to read this chapter, he was everything I was hoping he would be. It reinforced he doesn't want to be king, reinforced he doesn't mind if he's not king, and it reinforced that he is going to support her.
He's not power hungry.
No.
He's the total reluctant leader
to her.
Yes.
Even though he is not in a seat of power.
Yes.
And it seemed like they were going to go that way. But the fact that you got this bonus chapter from his point of view that reinforced, yes, you were right. You inferred it all correctly. I was just so happy because I just like the idea of, I like the idea of him supporting her.
So without the bonus chapter, your feelings going to fall in love with him.
Because think about the way it ended for me is I get an angry mother. Justifiably.
Right.
I'm left with an angry mother and all of these questions. Whereas the bonus chapter left me all warm and fuzzy and happy and just really, really excited for
them. Moving
them. Because at the end of the day, there's a touch of romance in this. I mean, most of it is the fantasy. It is the world. But we wanted that touch of fantasy. And I think given this is going to be a slow burn, you wanted something to be like, the uts is there, the feelings are there.
Why. Right. You need to leave the end of the first book knowing why.
Yes.
Right. Knowing that he's the one.
Yes.
right?
He's
Because it's
the way that
very
he's worth
obvious
it.
that
It's not poor Henry.
You said, I can't remember if we were on the podcast or not, but you definitely said the author loves Henry the most.
I saw an interview that Henry is Penn Cole's favorite character.
Favorite. I was
I was a little shocked when I saw that
of the whole series. All right, so
well, I guess up to
come on,
into
redemption
3
arc.
because 4 hasn't come out yet.
All right,
And it was a recent interview.
wow. All right, I mean, doors always
He's
open.
like my least favorite.
He's my least
character.
favorite.
He's annoying. Yeah.
He's annoying. Thank
He's
you.
a little
I'm glad
annoying.
you
He's
said
a
that.
little
He's annoying. He's a
But
little
it does
bit-
make you wonder,
Will he have an arc?
will he have a redemption arc? Is she planting that seed that there is something more important than what we have seen from him?
And is that why you liked him? It's not like you met him and were like immediately, oh, he's so annoying.
Right.
You met him and you're like, oh, he's sweet. You didn't get the like, oh my God, yes, this is it. But you were like, oh, he's sweet. He cares about her. So maybe that's why you needed that, so that we can get to a redemption for him. I don't know.
He was, of all the characters, he was the most one note for me. And that's, I think, the reason why I don't like him. Like, if he had made me feel more than just he's a silly kid who hates Descended, if there was just something more there. And I mean, we got a little taste of him witnessing the death of Immortal at Descended hands, but really, they've all experienced that. That doesn't give you something special. He was lacking depth for me. So add to that what I perceived as annoyingness, his naivety.
Yeah.
But don't forget too, he's young.
That's
They're
true.
what, 24?
I know.
24.
He might be showing our age here, ladies.
Yeah, we might be. But this is mean to say, but he's the boy that you leave behind in the town you grew up in for
absolutely
the guy that you
the big bad with magic.
Yes, and it's like he's great in his little town, and you would have been fine with him, but that's it. Yeah.
I also think the other thing about the Luther bonus chapter that I really liked is I feel like it gives us a glimpse into his family life.
Yeah.
Like we meet his cousins, we kind of see a little bit of back and forth, and up into that point, we always assume that
it's just Lily and him,
and they're cold and they don't have those relationships. And again, we probably would have learned that in book 2, but I think it left book 1 on a high note, not only for Diem and Luther together, but Luther just as a person in general.
His cousins. It's like his generation. Like maybe his parents and his uncle and all these other people are like maybe they're these terrible people, but there's like hope for the future generation if he's close with his cousins and they have fun banter. And
right.
You know. And he implies he does not like all of the policies of his uncle. But then that was also really interesting that he can hate certain policies from his uncle, but he also recognizes all his uncle has done for him. So again, that gray area, he can still love his uncle for what he has been for him, while still hating some of his actions. And I just love the grayness.
So great. So great. Okay, so the one kind of, I feel like big thing we haven't really talked about yet is Diem's actual crowning.
Yes.
Like that moment of magic. I love it that she was with her brother.
Got into the sky, the light coming down to the hand.
Oh. I loved it that she was with Teller.
Yeah.
I think it was.
And he recognized
that he was the one who was
he's
like,
you have a crown. But again, it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of like Henry's role in her life and Teller's role in her life. Like Teller is her connection to the Descended.
Yeah.
There's probably not another person that she would have been with in that moment that would have said, that's the crown. And like he knew it right away.
And she wouldn't have seen it on herself either. She might have realized what was on her.
Oh, that's another thing too that was confusing to me. So she took the crown and a beam of light shot out, which I did realize later, but that's what's happening here on the inside. So smart. Didn't put it together, obviously, when I started reading it. But then in the mom's epilogue chapter, a beam of light came from where she was.
Yeah.
Did it come from the mother, or did it come from, like, she was on the Kindred island?
Yeah.
What was it?
Kindred. Kuriel.
But what's the translation you said? Island Heart Island,
Island,
Heart, something like that.
but it's called
Anyways,
Heart Island.
Heart
and
Island.
the Kindred's temple is where she was.
So do we assume that the light came from the Kindred's temple?
I believe so, because I remember the mother looking at it, not it originating from her, but from her seeing this light on the island. Because I think she mentioned the location of it. She's like, I had just been there and this light is coming from there. And then she sees this other light shining. So I don't think it came from Mama, but I think it might have come
at the source.
She was at the source.
Yeah, it has to, because it's like, this is Kindred Island. It's passing the crown from one to the next.
So the question though is that so if she could see DM's light, then everyone on the circular kingdom could have seen
Luther saw it.
the light coming from the Heart Island.
So that's something interesting you mention there. So think about when she went to Maros, right? Looking at the map, you're like, well, you would go right by the island. It's mentioned how it took really 24 years to find it again. So
I find it, but go back.
I got the impression it was a combination of both. I'd love to find that section, but I got the impression that there's some kind of magical ward over this island protecting it. So I do
some kind of spell that keeps it hidden or something.
To your point, Lindsey, you said that DM saw that light coming out then her light matched it. So, I mean, if DM can see that light, then yes, you were right. Presumably others should be able to.
And is that normal? Like when every new crown comes, do they see the light coming from it? Or is the fact that like we have speculated that DM is something more, that she is kindred or kindred
plus?
I don't want to plus. I was going to say kindred descended, but not just like she's more, right?
Yeah.
Kindred adjacent.
She's closer to like she's closer than like multiple generations away.
Right.
Yeah.
Kindred, we'll say kindred adjacent.
There you go.
So did that light just happen for her? Or does that happen with every
maybe it was
crown?
only for her because she was receiving the crown. That's something only those being crowned get to see themselves. Maybe people only see the light show from.
Yeah. It's super interesting. I think like for me, one of the things I love the most about this book, we've talked about this, is that not all, but in a lot of fantasy books that we love, the female main character gets her power or her status from the male that she ties herself to through love, through marriage, whatever, which is great. We love those books. But in this book, she barely she barely kissed Luther. So it's not because of who light is.
One time.
It was one time. They were on a break.
It was one time.
It was one time. And she has power because of her.
Yes.
And based on his bonus chapter, he's going to support her and not fight her. And I love that she is the queen of her own accord, of her own power, of her own blood, not because of who she married and who she fell in love with. And I freaking love that.
And because remember, the crown is chosen based on the most powerful one. So not only is she not getting her magic from Luther, it's her own right. Her magic is more powerful than his. And
his is described as like, I mean, really
like it was obvious.
Yes.
Like no,
I do love that too. I like that. It's a nice dynamic. It's a nice dynamic where an author can just introduce a female character. It's not in your face. It's just, this is the way it is. You know, it's not kind of trying to push this trope to us. It's just so organic in this book that DM, she's going to lead us. And it's just in her own right, her own abilities.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. So then going into the next book, what is your big expectation? Where do we think the next book is going?
So I guess,
what are thoughts? Yeah.
Can you even answer this objectively? Because you read it.
I think I can, only because I remember
thinking that.
I remember the feelings of this book and looking forward to getting more information and fleshing out their relationship with each other. Like, what is going to happen to her? Like, she is the queen. It's not like that was hidden. A freaking light column came up. Like,
they don't
like,
know.
Dude's got a crown floating above her head. Hard
right,
to hide that.
right. Like, and people saw exactly where it was coming from. Like, I love that the author did that because we can't hide her power, right? Like, if the light hadn't come up, or if it wasn't like this, I picture it as like an ethereal kind of like light,
levitating
light
thing.
itself, right? Not like a crown, but like a light,
like a ghost crown,
right?
kind of.
Yeah.
Crown to match the realm.
But I remember feeling like it can't be hidden.
Yeah.
Because in another series, it could have been hidden, right? And it could be her coming into that power. But book 2, basically, you're going to have to start with that power. There's no hiding it. And I kind of like that we're just forced to jump right in.
Yeah. Because Luther knows his point of view. He's like, oh, I know it's the end.
knows.
I'm going to go find her.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing else you can do.
And I feel like the wording of that was a little ominous. Like,
I will find her.
I will find her. Like, I will come for her kind of feeling. But I think you could absolutely read it both ways. I think my first reading of that is, oh, that's ominous.
Yeah.
And then after thinking about it a little bit more, and I think after we talked about the bonus chapter, it changed for me. Maybe it's not so ominous. Like, I want to help her. But you can read it either way. It's like reading a bad text.
I got my initial gut of reading that sentence was, I wonder if this is going to be a fated mates type of fantasy.
They did mention mate.
And the king has a mate.
Yes. So that was where my head.
We don't know that it's a fated mate.
Yes.
But there is
that's
a
where
mate
my that's where my brain immediately was, and because he mentioned when they kissed. You feel my magic. I feel your magic. I felt that there was a bond in that he's not ready to accept, but that he knows more of, probably due to experience. And that's actually something else that's interesting, is that you say she has this power. What power does she have exactly? Because she has the power of being the sovereign, right? But she doesn't even really know her own abilities, her own
she has
gifts.
no idea.
Do it on purpose.
It have to be accepted by a court who's like, who is this person? Prove it. Prove you're the strongest.
Right. So how do you prove who you are if you don't even know?
Yeah. How do you prove you're the strongest?
You were mortal.
So I think the second one is going to be, she's going to have to prove she's powerful. I don't think that this court, who is all ready to accept Luther, is going to accept her. I think there's going to be a whole lot of, she's going to have to learn how powerful she is. She's going to have to learn really who she is, and she's going to have to prove it to this entire, and I get the sense this court is just, there's a bunch of snakes, and I think Luther is going to be there to guide her through that process. Like Teller and Henry guided her in book 1. I think Luther is stepping into that role to be her guide in book 2, because she doesn't know anything about their world.
She knows nothing. I agree.
What about the voice? We hear the voice a little bit, but what is the voice? What do you think it is?
She has been hearing since the beginning.
Yeah. Is it her magic?
I have been thinking about that for a while, and I cannot get a sense of what I truly.
And why is it fight? The fight. Why is it always saying fight?
Is it because of extreme emotions bring out powers easily? That we see that in a lot of books, where extreme emotions, puberty, all of these things make a power happen, even though you can't control it, a trigger for it.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if other people have a voice in their head. Is it because her magic was so suppressed, it almost took on a sentient quality in and of itself? Like,
Luther.
You think
I do.
You think the voices?
You think it's like they're mated?
There were a couple of instances in the book that were like little sentences here and there where she mentioned, oh, as if he could hear me, or as if he could do this, and like them feeling something with each other. And so I'm wondering if they're mates. He knows it because doesn't he say?
I didn't catch that.
I didn't either.
He cuts off a sentence of like, can't deny it, acting as if you're not. And I think that we immediately go to, obviously he's saying acting as if you're not a descended. But what if it's like a double entendre and it's like, act as if you're not descended, but also act as if you're not my mate and that I don't feel you and that you don't know that there's a invisible thread somehow. So part of me
I didn't think about,
and whether it's him consciously or it's some kind of power. Yes, but that's going to be like my unhinged theory for the next book is that
write it down.
It's him.
We'll have to come back.
Something about Luther
it's something about
his understanding is telling her
be
unconsciously.
Cool. I actually like that one. I like that one.
I did not get that when I read it.
They said, and I pay attention to those. I think more because I've seen it in other series done well. And so whenever there's like, as if he could feel me, or as if I tingled and I turned around,
and that's
whatever.
very mating bond.
Yeah,
very
and you're always like, wait, literally,
right?
Like, is that a feeling, or are they literally listening to my brain right now?
Exactly. So that's my unhinged theory going into book 2.
Love it. Okay, Katharine's unhinged theory is about her tied to her magic working in other realms.
Yeah,
right.
She's the only one. It's because of her parentage, where she was born, what she truly is, but she can do magic everywhere else. I think, and I really hope so, that she's going to get magic from all the realms.
I agree.
That would be really, really fun to see.
Because then she would definitely be the most powerful.
Exactly.
Sure.
Well, and I think that's what the author is trying to imply. Like she's wicked powerful.
Yeah. And I think that's
powerful.
Yeah, wicked. I think that's like the second part of my unhinged theory is that I agree with you, and I think that Daughter of the Forgotten is somehow related to a 10th kindred, a 10th realm that she comes from. So that's
which going back, that was because of the fact that when the mother in her epilogue chapter, Aurelia, there's 9 cauldrons, 9 representations of each of the realms, but on the floor it is a 10-pointed star.
Yes. Yep.
Gotta mean something, right?
Gotta.
You don't throw those numbers in there and those
always have
when you're
meaning.
Yes. 10th piece of land. And so that's where my theory goes. 10th piece of land, the 9 realms, and then the 10th one in the middle.
What if it's a caldera, volcano, and it will rise from the depths, and we will all be one?
Unhinged. And on that note,
Lindsey, what are your final thoughts?
I can't give them.
That makes sense.
Because I
know too much.
Like I said, I remember my feelings going into the next one, but I don't feel like it would be fair for me to give.
They wouldn't be authentic anymore. Right. They've been influenced.
Also, because I'm a really bad liar, and so I would sit here and look at the camera like, no unhinged theories from Lindsey on this one.
Get them in the future.
Yes.
Awesome.
So, all right. Well, then let's wrap up this 4 bookmark book all around.
4 bookmarks all around. Solid.
4. We're all so excited to read the next one, to keep going in the series. So there you go. Join us next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.